Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott, I'm the Emperor of Stomaria, and today I'm very pleased to announce that the Duchy of Bran-Howl has been formally incorporated into the Empire of Stomaria as an associated state. So the Duchy of Bran-Howl is not a micronation that a lot of people will be familiar with because it is very new. In fact, it's probably a month or two old at this point, and it's still very sort of fresh. It's developing at a steady pace, but it's still very new. And normally we would not entertain the idea of incorporating micronations as new as Bran-Howl is into the Empire of Stomaria because there's no history there of longevity. And when it comes to micronations that get involved with Stomaria, we like there to be some sense of consistency. We want to make sure that everything is internally stable and there's not too many micronations going defunct or dissolving or splitting off and doing their own thing. So we typically look for a history of a micronation to see what it's been doing, how it's developed and evolved, what it's been involved in. But that isn't the case with Bran-Howl in this instance. So that was definitely a mark against them, if you like. However, they are a very interesting micronation. So they were founded by Duke Christopher, who's actually Cornish. And for those who are outside of the United Kingdom, that effectively means he's from England. You don't normally refer to someone from Cornwall as English because a lot of them are quite distinct in their sort of cultural identity, but geographically speaking, it is the toe of England, if anyone wants to look at a map. But he is Cornish, and he actually lives in Transnistria. He bought a home there, he bought some land there, and is looking to become more self-sufficient and self-reliant. And having looked at the wider micronational community, he saw the kinds of micronations that were out there, and he has decided that the Empire of Stomaria is more up his alley. The brand of micronationalism that we adhere to, which, as I've said before, is frankly in the minority, a micronation that's looking to establish a real-world community with its own unique cultural identities, reducing reliance on contributions to the macronations that we're a part of, establishing trade networks between like-minded micronations, and attaining greater levels of self-determination through legal and legitimate means. Now, he has seen all of this and he's decided that he wants to be a part of that. So he is forming a part of the Empire of Stomaria as an associated state because Bran-Howl consists of private freehold land. Now, this will be the first time that a micronation has formed a part of the Empire of Stomaria's territorial empire, which consists of land from outside of the United Kingdom. So the only other associated state we've had in the past is the Kingdom of Wayward, which is only an hour's drive or so away from where I reside now. So this is going to be a very interesting setup and sort of sets a precedence, I suppose, to other micronations with private freehold land of their own in becoming involved in Stomaria. And so while there is some work to be done in developing Bran-Howl, we're off to a good start in the sense that they have ticked one of the most significant boxes that we look for in a micronation, which is territory. Do they claim territory or do they own the territory? And they own it, and they're looking to expand further by acquiring land adjacent to them. land in Transnistria, where they're actually based, is very cheap. And the history of Transnistria, again, is it's an interesting one. Not one I'm going to delve into too much in this video, but they have a very peculiar and unique history, which I suppose is all the more interesting given the topic that we're discussing, which is micronationalism. But that's all aside, the plan is for Bran-Howl to utilise the land that they have in order to produce goods which can then be shipped off to Stomaria and Moreland and Wayward, or Lithua or Molossia, or any of the micronations involved in the trade network that we've been establishing both in the British Isles and beyond. And I think this is just a very exciting prospect, because even though that we have had Molossia and Norwich and Moreland being incorporated into the Empire of Stomaria as observer states, and we're very grateful for that, it does often require lands that can be utilised for us to properly kickstart what we're looking to do. So the reason, for instance, that the Kingdom of Wayward has always been very critically important to Stomaria is because it consisted of private freehold land that was being utilised. You could host events there, you could grow produce there, you could install, a wind turbine or solar panels there, which they have done, in order to sort of, charge batteries and tools and phones and all the rest of it. So, that has been an aspect to it. And raising livestock and all the rest of it. You need private freehold land for this. And I would like to think that the Duchy of Bran-Howl is going to work very well as a part of the Empire of Stomaria and the trade network that we're establishing. It is, as I say, going to be still very early days. Duke Christopher is very new to micronationalism, and even though that he has ticked a very significant box, as I say, in terms of acquiring that private freehold land and actually, living that lifestyle or attempting to live that lifestyle, there is still a lot of work to be done and a lot of refinement to be done with Bran-Howl in terms of its internal structure, in terms of its government structure, in terms of its cultural identity, I suppose, because it is, as I say, a very new micronation and it's yet to fully find its feet. I'm not expecting massive changes in the sense that it's going to change from a duchy to some, a kingdom or a republic or anything like that. I'm not expecting the flag to change a half dozen times or anything like that, because I think Bran-Howl, as the other micronations involved in Stomaria and the micronations outside of Stomaria, know full well that's normally a big red flag for us, because consistency is always key, stability is key, and to be able to integrate a micronation into Stomaria, that requires a lot of trust in that they're not going to, go defunct or dissolve or change their government structure or government type too frequently or too rapidly, or change their flag, however many times in a year, because it just makes everything very messy, very complicated, and people start to lose track and then lose interest and then start to question, well, how long is this micronation going to be around if it just keeps flip-flopping on these sort of matters? And so, with all of that said, the Duchy of Bran-Howl is a micronation that I'm pleased to welcome into the Stomarian community, and we look forward to seeing how we can go forward together in integrating them further into the wider Stomarian community, along with the sort of Waywoodians and Solassians, Morelandians and all the rest of it, and then integrating them into the trade network, which would also include external trade partners, including the Kingdom of Lithua, and potentially some other micronations in the British Isles further down the line. I will get onto that on another date, potentially in another video. But we are in contact with various micronations in the British Isles and outside of the British Isles about, establishing closer ties in terms of trading relations. So I'm quite excited for the prospects over the next few months of micronations coming that much closer to Stomaria's trade network, not necessarily being integrated in Stomaria itself, but as external allies and trade partners in the same way that the Kingdom of Thua is. But going off on a bit of a tangent, as I normally do, so we'll leave it there. But if you did want to become a part of the Stomarian community, then please feel free to do so through our Patreon campaign, the link of which I shall leave in the description below as always. You can also find the details of the other micronations that make up the Empire of Stomaria, as well as those that are affiliated with it, in the description below as well. But otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.